Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Jasmine's First Impressions Sports Talk. I have a great show for you guys, so let's get started.
Welcome to Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports talk show in the country. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
Welcome back to Jazz's First Impression Sports Talk. And to kick that off, I would like to bring a very special guest, Dr. A.J. Anderson from Bowie State University. He's a college professor of the sports management program there. So I would love to bring him in. We're going to have a great conversation. So let's start. Hi, Dr. A.J. Anderson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jasmine. How are you?
It's going, but I've heard about the Packers, but we'll get into that in the second segment. But thank you for being on the show. I'm glad to have you back. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago, so we're going to finish that off. So just to start, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how did you get at Bowie State University?
So yeah, I'll try to keep this short. Again, thanks for having me here. And so I am born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I played sports growing up all my life. And, just like many males, their ultimate goal is to be a professional, playing the NFL. And I wanted to reach that goal, but I did not. Unfortunately, I had a knee injury. And then I really had to pivot and think about academics. So I went to college at Lock Haven University in Pennsylvania, where I was able to obtain a sport management degree. And I felt that since I couldn't play, then I wanted to continue to coach and try to make it to the league that way. So once I graduated college, I didn't have any coaching opportunities. So I had an opportunity once I moved back to Pittsburgh to work with the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. So nothing like working with a professional organization. So I was able to get in that organization for a few months, and I got a phone call in early August asking if I wanted to coach football. So I had an opportunity at Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania to start coaching there. So I started out, coached 3 years there. Then I wanted to move closer to my family in Pittsburgh. So and I wanted to get my master's. So I got an opportunity to work at St. Francis University, and I got my master's. And from there, I spent 18 years at St. Francis started out as a graduate assistant football coach. Then I coached full time for the next 7 years. And in 2012, I ended up I moved into an administrative role where I became assistant athletic director. And during that time, I just really kind of felt a little burnout working in athletics. Plus I had some young ones at home. So I wanted to be able to give myself options. So I went back to school, worked on my doctorate degree, and I looked at the option of teaching. So I really felt that I wasn't impacting students in the way that I would like to. So I decided that I wanted to use my pivot and teach. So this was an opportunity to be able to give back and help the youth and serve as a resource. So had a couple interviews and ended up at Bowie State as the program coordinator and professor.
Yeah, so it sounds like you had a whole huge track record, and even with coaching and even working with the Pirates was a very big organization. So back to your coaching tenure, what would you say was your most memorable experiences coaching?
Well, I tell you, I had a lot. For me, there were a few players that really struggled to even get to college and struggled through college, but they made it through and graduated. So that was really, those were times that I really felt good about that because I was really helping our students. And we had some great games. We had a few snow games where we probably had about 6-7 inches of snow where we had to play, and we ended up winning. So those were great. But for me, it was really just being able to see our freshmen grow up and graduate. So those were some of my proudest moments.
And I would say that's the ultimate goal, right? You have athletes come in there. Of course, they're a student first. So you want to make sure they get to that next level and be able to graduate and graduate at a high level and also play the game at a high level as well. So that's a great experience. But the snow, I don't know if I could have did that. The snow, I am not a cold person at all. I do not like the cold. I don't like winter. I don't like fall. But that seems pretty fun. So what would you say, as a coach, like what did you instill in your players? Like, as a coach, what type of coach were you? We see coaches that you're just like, one thing, this thing goes and that's it. Were you like the players coach?
Yeah, I would say I was a player's coach, but I always try to keep it real with them.
Right.
So I'll praise you when you deserve it, but I also kick you in the butt when you need that.
Right.
So I was, from a coaching standpoint, I really tried to focus on techniques and discipline, because you got to really start with basics and understanding basic skills and drills and techniques, and that's what makes good players great, and as well as the effort. So I was a good athlete. I probably wasn't the greatest. I didn't make it to the league, so wasn't great. But for me, it was, give me your best effort. I want you to work hard even when no one's looking. So I want guys with good character, to be able to get out there and give me your best effort, no matter if you are the best player or the last player on the roster. So I really try to focus on discipline, being honest with yourself and your teammates, but also wanted to be there to support them as well.
Right. And so I wanted to ask you as well, being that I'm a former athlete, I played softball for 3 years and I played a little bit of flag football last year. We always have this conversation, here at my school about, coaching and, what's more important to the athlete. So what would you say out of conditioning and like even running routes? Like, let's talk football in a football sense. So in flag football, we run routes. We do a lot of route running. Would you say in the off season, conditioning is the most important aspect for a player?
It's hard to say is the only aspect, and I think conditioning is great. It's because you don't play games a lot of times. For football, you don't play there, but that's where you can really get stronger in the weight room, because you got more time that you build your body up in the off season. You want to get in good shape, but then you think about it, after spring ball is over, then you go back home, or you may not put in that same type of energy or that same type of work, which you should, but you may not. So I think the off season is really good, especially in college, to be able to work on your technique, work on the things that you can improve on from the fall. So that's where I feel that's a really good time, because you don't play a game week to week. So a lot of times when throughout the season, you might have whether Sunday, Monday off, then you really got to start preparing for your next week. Or in the spring, you might spend a week on certain skills. If you talk about running routes in flag football, so you need to make sure that your technique is down, running the out routes, the verticals, anything. So you want to really focus on the details. And the conditioning part is good, because you want to make sure you're taking care of your body, because you're not playing. So you still want to be able to take care of your body from a mental and a physical standpoint.
Very important, especially like you said, just building your body up and preparing for that season and making sure you're in the best shape, because, I remember coaches always say that the off season is where you win. It's not when, okay, you're playing the game. Obviously you want to win the game, but you want to win in the off season, because that's where you practice the most. That's where you you run the routes to perfection, or whatever sport you're playing, and making sure your body's in the best shape. So that way, when you do play the game, that's the finished product. That's everyone showing that we've been doing this the whole off season. But let's get into your profession, the being a professor side. What would you say to students who are aspiring to get into sports, like myself and Jeremiah? What would you say for us to start? How do students get to that next level of getting into the sports world?
Well, I tell you, it is really like just being in sports, and I tell many people this, there are so many different paths that you can take to get to where you want to be. So for me, and the advice that I give to students that want to to want to make it big in the in sport management is number one is you got to get out and go experience. Get as much opportunity. I call them industry hours. Get as many industry hours as you can, because there's nothing like, you don't want to wait until your senior year when you have to do your internship,
Right.
and then you realize, oh well, this isn't what I wanted to do. So get your hands in a little bit of everything, and anything that you might think that you'd be interested in, go get that experience, because you might end up liking something that you didn't even know about. So get out there, network. Any opportunity that you have to network with someone is a great opportunity. I was once told that you treat every opportunity as a potential interview. And I think that's truly important, because people always say it's who you know, but it's really who knows you. So you always want to carry yourself in a professional manner and a positive manner, just because you never know who's watching you. And 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, someone may have a job and say, okay, well, I remember you at speaking here or in this class or doing that. So really being able to learn the skills, obviously in the classroom, learn those, get out and get your hands-on experience and networking. Those are key. And in our program at Bowie, what I try to do is also bring in professionals in the field to really give you that day-to-day, understand what they do, and those professionals do on a day-to-day basis. So you get the good, the bad, the ugly about everything. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Having, especially what spoke to me is you having industry professionals come in and talk to the students. It's one thing to say, okay, you do this, you go through your coursework, and then, okay, you graduate. But having those people there to talk to them and say, this was my journey. It may not be your journey, but, this is what to look out for. This is what to be watchful for, and keep your eyes open. I remember this past weekend just going to Pittsburgh at the RMU Summit. One of the biggest things was networking and also keeping your options open, because you never know because the sports industry is so broad. There's so many careers in it that you can get into, and just having that drive and saying, I want to do it. It is so powerful. And having people talk to you about it and say, was my experience, and this is what you should look out for, because I didn't know this. So I'm telling you guys this the first hand. So at Bowie State, you guys partner with or have any connections with big sports organizations that students can get involved with, and maybe do internships there, volunteer work there?
yes, so we are continuing to build relationships. I just completed my first year here at Bowie, so I'm still trying to build some relationships. Now we have a partnership with the Brooklyn Nets, and I actually had the director of college scouting speak to our class today virtually. And I know they're busy right now as NBA season started, but the partnership that we have with the Brooklyn Nets is great. And they really care about our students. Like I said, we had an opportunity where Sean Marks was able to come on last semester, hop on a Zoom and talk to our students. And I tell them, listen, you got to take advantage of this, because you don't get this everywhere. And that has been a partnership that we have really thoroughly enjoyed. We are looking to continue to build more relationships. I've had students that were able to do internships with the Brooklyn Nets. There was one student that was just out in Vegas this past summer for Summer League. Through this connection, we've also had students out in Texas, for U18, USA basketball, U17. So that partnership has been great. We're looking to partner with some other NBA teams, as well as NFL, and then just some local communities. So
right. And it's always good to have those big connections like that, especially with big organizations like the Brooklyn Nets and a lot of the basketball teams. So that's going to be very good for the students, because just having that experience and going in there and actually talking to a lot of people, and even opening your mind up, because maybe you want to do a particular thing, maybe you want to go into sales, and then there's a photographer there that you're like, oh, I really like photography. So having that experience, it opens your eyes to a lot of different things. So before we go to the next segment, before we go to break, I want to ask you, who was your biggest inspiration in order for you to get to where you are? Who inspired you to say, I want to do this?
You know what? There were a lot of folks. But number one is I always got to go back to my mom, and she wasn't in sports, but and actually she was. She coached baseball, pony league, like 12 and 13-year-old pony league, and she was the one that really encouraged me to continue to work hard and go after my passion. So she really was really encouraged me to do that. And when I look at just far as professionals in the field, I don't really have a lot of many professionals that were in the field. I just have a lot of just friends and family members who I really wanted to. I knew what I wanted to do, so I just wanted to get out there, and I just had a lot of family members that supported me. Even in college, my advisor, she had passed away a few years back, but she was someone who was really just pushed me to my limits and challenged me. And she knew I wanted to get in the sports field. So she really challenged me in many aspects. She was actually, I had to take a gymnastics class in college, and that was very interesting. Just a football player trying to do that, and she really just challenged me, and not just in gymnastics but other things as well, and also being a professional. So I credit her to a lot of where I'm at, because she helped mold me once I got into the college world. And then just I try to model myself, find good things about my supervisors, and things that I want to take from my supervisors, from different supervisors that I had, and that kind of helped mold me who I am today as a leader.
Absolutely. And now you can tell your students this. Now you can be an inspiration to them now. So it's crazy how all those things, come full circle. But yes, that was a great conversation. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. I'll see you in the next segment. We're going to talk about NBA. We're going to talk about the Packers, Bucks. We're going to talk about all of it. So that wraps up the segment. We're going to go to a short break, and we'll be right back for more sports talk.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep, off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try, and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear, because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you The Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
You're watching Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk. Be sure to join Jasmine every week for great conversation on the NBA, NFL, and a wide variety of sports topics. To see past episodes of First Impressions Sports Talk, go to YouTube and search First Impressions Sports Talk. You can connect with Jasmine on LinkedIn by searching Jasmine Pollock. And now, back to more First Impressions Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impressions Sports Talk. And the voices you just heard were from Kelly Johnson and Dion Hunter. If you like voiceover work done for your projects, you can go contact Leon Thomas at theleonthomasgroup.com. If you'd like to be a guest on my show and see past episodes of my show, you can go to my website at jasmineonsports.com. So let's bring in Dr. Anderson, my dad, and Jeremiah. We have a lot to get into regarding football and the Lakers. So let's start with trouble in Green Bay and Tampa. So, Dr. Anderson, I know you're a Pittsburgh fan, but I want to ask you, what is going on with the Packers and what's going on with the Bucs?
Honestly, I don't even know, but I think that just they've had some receiver problems. I know Aaron Rodgers is frustrated, I'm sure, just as well as everyone else is, and just trying to get everyone on the same page. And I think the expectation is win a Super Bowl, and I think that's the same thing with the Bucs. So expectations are high, and you might have some rookies, some second year players that may not be ready for that yet. And they are put in these roles where they have to step up and they can't drop balls. They got to make sure that they read routes. And I think sometimes it could be whether it's, just putting in that extra time, working with the quarterbacks to get on the same page. So I think that, the expectations once again is both of those teams are expected to go to the Super Bowl, and whenever you have some missing pieces, it's more difficult. And everyone looks back at the Patriots when with Brady there, where they may not have had the star receivers, but I think they had great role players, and everyone knew their role, and everyone just was on the same page with Brady, and as well as the defense. Like they were never like the number one defense in the league, but they all played well. They had a good system, and now I just think that everyone's not gelling together, and sometimes it takes longer to gel than what people want.
Right. For me, both teams are 3-4. I did not see them looking like this the way they look right now. I thought the teams would look a little better. I thought they both would be contenders. But right now, there's a lot of questions for both teams. For the Bucs, to me, I think Todd Bowles is not the answer. And Dad, I want to ask you before I get into the Packers. We'll get into them in a few minutes. But do you think that there's always been this conversation between Belichick and Brady, who is having the better career, after the fact? Do you think right now, the way the team is constructed for the Bucs, that Tom Brady's missing Bill Belichick in certain aspects?
Well, I think, first of all, with the Bucs right now, I think if you look at it from top to bottom, it just seemed like there's a lot of just disorganization and confusion. I think it's just deeper than that. I think one of the biggest issues starting out is when Bruce Arians went to the office and off the sideline, and then you give Todd Bowles basically the head coaching job. And not to say that he's not a good defensive coordinator, but I don't remember when he was with the Jets knew him very well. So I don't know if he was the answer based off of what they were trying to do. And it just seems like the team is lacking some, like yesterday when I was watching the game, and you look, and I'm not even talking about offensively, defensively, there were simple plays that the Bucs defense was, they would stop on a regular occasion, but simple cutback runs, people not trailing the play, just different things like that. And it drove me crazy. I'm like, what are we doing? These professionals. So I think they're out of sync. They have been decimated by injuries. The one thing you can't have happen. And I think that for Tom Brady in the offensive line, him losing his center, yes, he lost some other pieces, but I think that was probably the biggest loss, because that is the quarterback of your line. So if he's not getting people into position, the right reads, I think we're seeing that the effects of that. And then offense, as far as the receiving core, I don't know. We have you can see where we can move the ball, but then it's just inconsistent. So I just think that it's the entire both sides of the ball, special teams, everything. I can't even put my finger on it because I'm looking at it's like everything. I would like to say, oh, well, the offense is not doing it, or the defense is everybody collectively. So I think that they got to really figure out what their identity is, and they're going to have to change something like this week, because it could be ugly going down the stretch.
Yeah, and they do have Baltimore this Thursday at home. So we'll see, Lamar Jackson. We'll see how that game works. They could turn it around, but because I don't trust the Ravens defense either.
No, I don't trust the Ravens defense, but I don't trust their defense against that running quarterback. Oh my goodness.
But let's go to the Packers. Now, you guys know my Packers, they look sick right now. It's just embarrassing to watch. It's gut-wrenching. And when it comes to the Packers, my biggest question was how will we regroup after trading away Devontae Adams, who is arguably probably the best receiver in the league, and him and Aaron's connection was just unstoppable. And now you take that away. And I know that Aaron's been getting a lot of flack for what he's been saying about the rookie receivers, but if you look at the game, like I'll give you an example, one play that I saw when we played the Commanders yesterday. So when a quarterback scrambles, usually the offense flows with them, right? So our rookie receiver, Romeo Doubs, Aaron scrambling to the left. He does a post corner the opposite direction, and Aaron throws it in a different direction. So I'm just like, what is happening right now? So when it comes to the Packers, our receiving core is just not lethal like it was before. Alan Lazard, he's probably was our number one, but he's injured now with a shoulder injury. Our rookie from Christian Watson, he hasn't played in 2 games because of a hamstring. Randall Cobb, he's injured again, but even though he's played very well through the stretch of the season so far, but he's injured. Sammy Watkins, they put him, they removed him off injury reserve. They, activated him yesterday, but I didn't see him yesterday. I don't know what's going on with this team. The only player that I have faith in, the 3 players on the offense is Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Robert Tonyan, our tight end. But that's not going to be good enough to go to the stretch. You guys know who we play on Sunday night? The Bills, at the Bills. We are not winning that game. I'm preparing myself right now for a heartbreak.
Up and down, though. Bills.
But, Dad, listen. How the Packers are constructed right now, going into Buffalo, we are not beating them on Sunday. We don't have
just
the
trying to be optimistic. That's all.
Listen, Dad, I'm preparing myself. I'm preparing myself for a heartache. So I'm just telling myself this was going to happen. I would be very shocked. We're 10-point underdogs. He's never been a double-digit underdog in his career. Yep. That's how bad tough. It is. It just does not look good for us. And then defensively, our offense is not helping us. I see where our defense is playing very well. We're making them turn the ball over. We had a pick 6 yesterday in the game. We had sacks. We had turnovers. But if the offense keeps going 3 and out, of course, a team is going to continue to drive the ball on the defense. So I can't expect the defense to do everything. But Jeremiah, I saw this question on Undisputed today. They asked, which quarterback looks worse, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers.
Go ahead, Jeremiah.
It said which quarterback looked worse. If we're going off just yesterday's game, I would just say, oh man, I only probably maybe Brady since yesterday because they only scored 3 points. Brady has had
only 3 touchdowns so far in the past 3 games. Go ahead.
I would just say within these last 2 weeks, I would say Brady only because Brady yesterday, it just can't be 3 points on the board. I mean, I'm not gonna make any excuses when it comes to anything else that goes on the other side when it comes to the defense and other parts that are a big factor. But Brady had over 200 and something yards, and Rodgers had over 200 and something yards. But the difference is Aaron at least got the ball inside of the end zone. Brady didn't get the ball inside the end zone. Now I know when it comes to certain situations.
Pass blatantly.
And I do think that would have been a big point in the game for them to actually, it would have been an energizer from them coming out the back. But as far as both quarterbacks go, they've been playing very terrible. It's just been bad football from both of them to start out because these are supposed to be like contenders.
Just to add to what you're saying, if you look at it, it's the red zone for me. It's the red zone. I mean, we've been in the red zone and we can't come out with points. I mean, I'm talking about 6. 3 field goals are great and all that, but we're leaving a lot of points on the board and we can't score inside the red zone. It's amazing to me.
Even that when we played you guys in Tampa, that game was boring. It was boring, y'all. It was not an exciting game at all. And you would expect it for it to be an exciting game, but both the second half, the offenses were so stagnant. That could be because of the defenses, of course, but the offenses were not flowing at all. And when I look at both offenses are stagnant right now, and I don't know how the teams, especially for the Packers, at least Brady has weapons, like legitimate weapons. Aaron has, I don't know, who he could throw to, maybe Aaron Jones the whole time, but both of Aaron's touchdowns yesterday, 2 of them were to Aaron Jones, our running back. That's a problem. That I'm saying that is a huge problem.
Yeah, Brady definitely has better weapons there, and especially what you're saying with the red zone. I think that could be multiple issues where what that can stem from, whether it's whether it's play calling, whether it's just not being efficient in there, or whether running right routes or protection, whatever. That could be a lot of things. But yeah, when you're saying that, and I watch obviously the Steelers beat the Bucks. And so you think about the Bucks' last 2 losses were to the Steelers, who are 2-5, and then Carolina Panthers, which I don't know what their record is, but
they only had 1 win, if I'm not mistaken.
1 win, yeah, they're 1-4.
So I think that's tough. And where preseason there was a lot of talk about the Bucks competing, where the Packers, they knew as long as you got Aaron Rodgers, you always got a shot, but it is the challenges are really starting to show. Like, you're starting to see the inefficiencies of what's going on with that team. And I think especially whenever you start losing, then people start panicking, and then coaches start screaming more, players start yelling at each other. So it's just, you got to still try to keep them together. I think both of those teams can still salvage their season. Do I see them going to the playoffs and doing any damage? I don't know that, but they can still kind of salvage it from, where they're at right now.
But one thing I wanted to add to what you said about coaches yelling, I wish our coach would yell.
Yes, he doesn't yell.
Yes, you can't stay quiet.
What is exactly what I would be looking for, is a little passion on the sideline, but it's like it's on autopilot, and something happened. It's like not a reaction. It's like what's the adjustments? And that's the whole thing. And I really think that one of the biggest issues is when we start mixing up the organization by sending Arians upstairs.
Yeah,
you start mixing up the philosophy and how you're going to play this thing. And I think that's a big issue right now too. And of course, Brady has those off the field things going on, but at the same time, when I look at the game, it doesn't look like any different. I look like he's under pressure more than he's used to being under. There's execution issues, and I don't think it has anything to do with off the field. As far as a lot of people say, oh, it's because of his wife. Brady is too much of a fanatic for me to think that that's causing him issues. I mean, he let his wife leave the house. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
He's focused. So I think that it has a lot to do overall. They're just not on the same page. So,
and you know what? This is the front office situation. Like, when we drafted a quarterback, a couple years ago, that was the downfall of the Green Bay Packers then. Because in that situation, you have Devontae Adams, and you're just coming off the loss against the 49ers in the NFC Championship. All you need is another receiver. T. Higgins came out that year. I believe Justin Jefferson came out that year as well. We don't get any of them. We draft a quarterback. And now you can see what's happening. And then we trade Devontae away. Now we have to go draft a receiver. But this past year in college football, there wasn't any top receivers. But now we have to draft one now. So the front office, this is the front office for the Green Bay Packers. It's all on them. But Dr. Anderson, what were you about to say?
No, I was just saying, I really think in my opinion, I think there was an issue with the Bucks, and Arians decided to get off the field and go into the front office. So I don't know what that was, but I feel like there was something, because I just felt like he wasn't done coaching yet. But there was something within that organization.
Well, the rumor is, to speak to that, the rumor is the Brady thing. That was that Brady coming back kind of had a disagreement. So I agree with that 100%.
Because Dad, remember the whole conversation, the whole reason why Stephen Ross, the Miami Dolphins owner, is suspended right now. He got fined is because they were trying to pull Brady. They were in conversation with him to come down there. So Brady was retiring, but also talking to Stephen Ross and Sean Payton to try to join forces down there in Miami.
Yes,
but
because
obviously that got blown up.
Man, if he had went to Miami with those weapons,
that would have blown up. That would have blown up bad.
Now you talk about coaches that don't yell. The Dolphins coach.
Yes. Yes.
Two facts.
But let's go to the Lakers before we get out of here. So I'm gonna read you guys off some stats here. So the Lakers are 0-3 to start the season. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on. The Lakers are the worst shooting team in basketball right now. 25 of 118. Dad, I want to start with you. What's going on with the Lakers? They're the worst shooting team in the league right now.
Here's the one thing, and I you know, I don't like to be too negative, but the Lakers really have to figure out what they're going to do with Russell Westbrook. I don't know how long, and me, you know, I'm not a basketball expert, but when a guy who's supposed to be quote unquote the point guard, he's not very good at scoring points. And one of the things that I see is he'll make ill-advised shots that are not in rhythm, and they're just aggressive, and they bounce off the rim, and it a lot of times equates to fast break points on the other end. So me personally, they have to figure out what to do with Russell Westbrook. I don't think they're going to move forward as long as they try to force feed him. He has not produced at a high level since he's been with the Lakers. It's been a disaster. So I think that the Lakers, because they're on the hook for quite a bit of money with him, so that's a part of it. And I don't think he has. I don't think they can really bargain a good trade for him because his performances have gotten worse. So I think now what they have to do is they have to figure out, well, hey man, you got to either come off the bench or he's not starting. But right now they have to figure out what they're doing with him, because the game they just lost recently, he was in the game for that last few minutes. Yeah. And the game completely turned. They were up by 8, and it's just
exactly.
It turned as soon as the guy came in, and if you don't want to put it all on one guy, but I'm like, well, he's really not. I'll put it this way: he's still athletic, still one of the more athletic people, but he does not fit what they do, and that's all I say about that.
Dad, also when they just played the Clippers as well. Now defensively against the Clippers, they did a phenomenal job.
They're good defensively.
But Dad, how are you, besides LeBron and AD, you are supposed to be the third option. How do you score 2 points, 0 of 11 from the 3-point line in a game like that against the Clippers? You scored 2 points. Now he gave a great effort on defense, but 2 points? Jeremiah, what's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, when it comes to the Lakers itself, they're not setting themselves up for the future in a big way, because God knows, like, you know, what LeBron's future is. You know, he is already older in itself. You have a Anthony Davis that you're not even so sure of right now, and you got a bad contract in Russell Westbrook and other pieces that's around. How is the future going to look once LeBron probably retires in the future or in the next year or two? Like, what is the destination for the Lakers? Like, are you guys are still historic, you know, franchise going to be respected even after your big name is gone? Or are you going to go back to how it was pre-LeBron before he got there? Now, how it is right now, they have that one championship, but it has to be more coming in. It has to at least be playoffs. It just can't miss the playoffs, go first round, get knocked out. The Lakers right now, they need to do something. They have to move Westbrook right now as we speak. I'll get Buddy Hield and trade those 2 picks. And I think when it comes to Rob, sometimes he can be very stubborn at a certain time, in certain ways, because he thinks, you know, I'm going to just play out the market, and just, you're not going to have a market if you just keep letting him put down the market with his performance. It's not going to do good.
But with that, to piggyback off of that, when we look at LeBron's career and when he's won championships, he's had shooters around him. LeBron is the type of player with how he passes the ball, and him being one of the best passers that we've ever seen, and him having that IQ, knowing where guys are going to be. You have to have shooters around him in order to knock down shots. I even saw Anthony Davis shooting threes. I don't like him shooting threes at all. I don't know why he's on the arc at all. He needs to be down low.
Posting people up.
There's no question about it. Now, if it's one time where he just lobs it up and they up by a big margin, okay. But you're battling it out. There's no reason Anthony Davis should be shooting threes. No reason. But Dr. Anderson, what is your take on the Lakers, and what do the Lakers have to do in order to even make the play-in tournament?
It's going to be tough. And I haven't seen them this year. I haven't seen a lot of basketball recently, but just knowing the game a little bit, you need shooters. Yeah. And when you have players like LeBron who can go to the basket and either finish or be able to kick out, so you need people in the corners, people in the wings that can just spot up and shoot. And, whether it was just, guys, I think of like whether it was like a Steve Kerr with Jordan or, even like a Kyle Korver, you need some guys that can just shoot. They may not be great defensively, but they can hit open threes. And I remember just even years ago, like Danny Green, when he was, with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to be able to have some good role players that know their role. And I'm just here to hit an open shot because LeBron, AD, and what you would expect is because Westbrook loves to, drives to the hole. So they want to drive and kick. So you don't have anybody to kick to because you don't have any jump shooters on the team. So
Beverly's not a shooter like that either.
And he's taking
he's
volume
a defensive player.
Yes. Yep. And go ahead, Dr. Anderson.
No, but that's what it's like. So you don't have guys in there that are just jump shooters.
Exactly.
So you got people collapsing, and then there's nobody to kick to that you feel comfortable.
Because everybody on the Lakers think they're part of the big Lake show. Somebody needs to play their roles. They need to have certain roles that you play. Like Patrick Beverly, he is a certain role. You're not part of like a big three duo. You're not a three-point shooter. You're not Kyle Korver. You're not a big name. You're going to be that guy.
You want to know a stat, though, that's really bizarre? Patrick Beverly has the best three-point percentage than anybody on the team.
And that's a shame.
That's crazy.
That is. And that is bad. And when you spend all that money for that big three, which Westbrook is that third one, it's hard. It is hard. And now you don't have a lot of money to get these other players. So you're hoping that people just want to come and try to win a championship. That's when like Carmelo came over. They had a couple other guys, but it's hard because you need number one with your big three. They got to produce.
Exactly.
You can't have two of your three producing. One not producing at all. Right. Yeah, you can't have one not producing, and then you don't have any role players. That's hard. So
the bench is not good. Like if LeBron has to go take a breather, you expect the other guys to fill in the spot and make some shots and do things like that. He can't even do that. But I will say, for LeBron being in year 20, he looks very good. Like he's still flying. Playing defense. He blocked Paul George's shot. Like he had 2 or 3 blocks in that game. He's still playing at a high level. The man's averaging 28 plus a game now. He just had 31, I believe, yesterday. So, LeBron's still going to do it. He's still there and still but he might be right now chasing that Kareem stat. So,
he needs help.
They do. He needs a lot of help because LeBron wants to win championships. I know in his heart, but he cannot win with the roster they have right now.
Nope. And getting rid of Kuzma, Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
was a big loss as well.
Yeah. Oh, I want to add something to what you just said, Jazz. So with LeBron, because remember the Jordan conversation, I'm pretty much done with that. Like I don't think that's his. And to be honest with you, I don't know where LeBron's mind is right now. He's still going to perform.
He's chasing Kareem, Dad. I believe
that might be the biggest thing because right now, the way it looks, LeBron influences a lot of their decisions.
Yeah.
So the way things are going, if he were to go to the front office or go to the coach and say, "Hey, I want Westbrook to be benched," you think they won't listen? I think they will. So I think
they're not.
No, but what I'm saying is, I think that it's bigger than basketball for him right now. I think it's all about brand because guess what? He's still producing. And it's about championships for the Lakers, but I think he has to win to be considered a Laker great. He has to win one in the regular situation. It can't be the bubble situation, even though, he won with what he had. but he has to win in a regular situation. Until that happens, he would never be considered a Laker great.
And it's a shame because the team that he almost won with in Cleveland was not very good.
Not at all.
No.
Oh,
the team around him was not good. It was crazy that he was able to bring them to the final.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because I mean that was prime Braun. I mean that's when he had that juice. Now he is going on almost 40. That juice is.
But no, Jared, I don't think his juice is gone. The man's average.
Well, no. I know he can do that. He can do that at the high level, but how he's gonna do that every single game? I mean, that weighs a lot on him.
The motor.
Yes, exactly.
Me right now, I feel like the way the team is, he's chasing that cream. He wants to pass cream. If he passes cream, he'll be the player with the most points ever. I mean, that's a huge.
I know this is for another show. I'm a Jordan fan, so people are gonna say, "Oh, God." But look how long it took to get there.
Yeah.
I look at that, and I look at I'm all about time. They're just like people say, Emmett's the record holder, Barry, but look at how long it took Emmett to get the record, and look at how long it took Barry. So the time means a lot to me based off of that, because if you keep taking a stab at it, eventually, of course, you're gonna run into that. But I like to look at it, the production over time, but not just having some trash years where you just running it up. For me, it's a little bit different when it comes to that.
See, and I'm a Kobe Bryant fan too.
Yeah, so I like Kobe. Yeah, Kobe.
Yeah, but hopefully the Lakers can get it together. I hope, they do something, because they have to do something. The West is loaded. These teams are getting better. I mean, it's just a lot going on.
Fans are mad.
Exactly. But that wraps up the show. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Dad, for, just taking your time and, giving your thoughts about these topics. We'll see you guys next week for more First Impressions Sports Talk. And there's a lot more to get into. There's more football games to get into, especially the Packers at Bills. I will be talking about that next Sunday. So have a good night. See you guys next week.